It's legal to bring a gun into a Michigan school. We'll take an in-depth look why.
After a confusing weekend, hundreds of gay couples are wondering if their marriage is legal.
And for some athletes, lacrosse is more than just a sport. All that and more on today's edition of DTV News. If you have a CPL, you can legally bring a gun into a Michigan school. Good afternoon, I'm Lindsay Gerber.
I'm Olivia Desgrange. Safety of staff and students has been a priority for schools across the nation, especially these past few years. So how is it possible for someone to legally bring a gun into a school? We have your story.
There's 350,000 people out there that could carry a gun openly into a Michigan school.
Both federal and state laws make schools weapon-free zones, but there's a loophole in Michigan that changes that. Michigan law allows residents to carry a concealed weapon, which means they may carry it with it hidden. However, the law also states that individuals can open carry.
One of the exceptions is an individual who is licensed under state law to carry a pistol. Because they're licensed to carry it concealed gives them the right to carry it into a school.
Those handgun owners who have a valid CPL license are allowed to carry a weapon in public as long as it's concealed. But Michigan law also prohibits concealed weapons in all schools, and this is where the loophole falls.
So that kind of in a roundabout way gets you to what you're left with, which is an individual who is licensed under the CPL law can openly carry in a school but cannot concealed carry into a school.
And that's exactly what happened in Clio on Wednesday, September 6th, when a father walked into Edgerton Elementary to pick up his daughter with a loaded gun strapped to his waist. But with all the school shootings lately, the fear of the unknown questions how safe or unsafe this makes our school.
You have no clue what that parent's intentions are. It could be innocent, it could be a menace.
It does seem like it's a little scary.
It's just not the right thing to do, not for kids.
I don't know, it doesn't make me feel very safe.
Schools are required to follow the law, but are also obligated to keep staff and students safe. Oftentimes, when a weapon enters a school, classes go into lockdown and it interrupts the learning process.
It's scary to think of someone coming into my building and not having a way to defend my students. However, I don't think putting more guns in school is necessarily a good idea. It might solve some problems, but it would create others. I think there have to be other ways.
So this leaves the question, is there anything being done to change this law? Michigan Representative Andy Shores introduced a bill back in January of 2013 that would change the loophole.
So my bill would close that loophole. It says that a gun-free zone will truly be gun-free. People would not be able to have concealed weapons or openly carry, in essence, unless they're a security guard or a police officer.
Andy Shore's proposed bill has received support from the Michigan Education Association as well as police organizations. DTV will keep you updated on the status of the bill. And Davison Township keeps expanding, and on May 1st, the brand new Davison's Farmers Market opened its doors. The brutal winter held back the construction of the project, but they made Michigan roads. After record-breaking snowfalls and temperatures, traveling in the Great Lakes state became a challenge to many drivers. Potholes and low funding created a devastating mix for Michigan drivers.
They're awful. They're really bad.
The roads are terrible right now. The potholes are really bad. I think the winter with the snow melting and then refreezing really screwed them up.
Gay marriage was legal in Michigan, but only for a few hours. Now, hundreds of couples in our state don't know where they stand. Hannah Livingston and Josh Helmuson have the story of one couple who rushed to the altar as soon as the law changed.
We got there about 7:30, and we queued up, and it was really cool. It was like there were a lot of people outside.
On Saturday, March 22nd, hundreds of same-sex couples rushed to courthouses across the state.
I was just waiting for them to rule because we knew they said it within 2 weeks. So every day I was looking and looking and looking. It was a Friday, and we were out. I don't know what we were out shopping for, but her sister texted us and just said woo. And so I was like, oh my God, I bet they ruled.
Judge Bernard Friedman struck down the marriage amendment that prevented same-sex couples from getting married. Josie Lee and Kristen Draybuck were one of the couples who rushed to the courthouse to say their vows.
They do so many marriage licenses at a time, and everybody would come downstairs, and it'd get real quiet, and then you'd hear like a wedding, and then there'd be all this applause, and then it'd get quiet, and there'd be a wedding.
So that was kind of cool too. You'd see
Yeah, we saw a lot of people get married.
After years of their unofficial marriage, they were finally together under the law.
So we had a wedding, unofficial wedding in June of 2010 with our families and friends, and then we actually got married on the 22nd.
But within 24 hours, Michigan Attorney General Bill Schuette put a stop to the marriages.
The judge ruled, and then they put a stay on it the next day. So right now we technically don't have any rights.
Because of the stay, the marriages won't be recognized by Michigan, and couples are scared because it is unclear what is going to happen next.
I mean, there are real people behind it. I think that's what people forget, right? Like, there's real feelings behind it. And you could feel the tension changing, right? It became less like excitement and more people were scared.
Couples are currently stuck in limbo, causing confusion on what benefits they can receive.
So federal taxes, we can file together next year, because obviously that's always a year behind when you're filing your taxes.
We get Social Security benefits now,
right.
And the spousal death benefits. And we have to have a card that says we can go visit each other in the hospital.
The American Civil Liberties Union sued Michigan on April 14th for refusing to recognize the same-sex marriages that took place in March.
There are a lot of people out there who don't support this, and what would you like to say to them?
I think people are raised differently, they have different opportunities, they have different experiences, and I think you have to just get to experience people who are in same-sex relationships or interracial relationships or anything that you're not comfortable with to understand the people. I'd like to welcome people to just getting to know people or just not being afraid of experiencing more than what's in your backyard. Everybody's hope is that as a nation we continue to develop, right? We continue to grow.
And the growth is starting to show. Since 2008, 17 states have passed same-sex laws. Josie and Kristen are clearly married in their hearts, but in the eyes of the law, their marriage is still uncertain. Hannah Livingston, DTV News.
Coming up in sports, some teams are more than just an assortment of players. They're considered a family.
Sean Bednard will tell us the story of Team 8 after the break.
Built for sight, to spy, to see, thousands on thousands look upon me. They examine, they view, they peruse and witness. They can also judge with a frightening quickness. They are trained to perceive nothing but the surface. But if we change our thinking, we can change the purpose. Noticing personality instead of the color of skin. Maybe we can see with our eyes again.
The rain of the past month has cleared up and the spring sports season is in full swing with the weather. We've got an action-packed day of sports ahead. I'm Chris Sherrod for DTV Sports. Let's hit the field. An old Big Nine rivalry renewed. The Bobcats of Grand Blanc took the trip to Rodney Collins Stadium in Davison Tuesday night for the second lacrosse meeting of the season between the Cardinals and the Bobcats. The game proved to be a grudge match early on. In the first quarter of play, Tony Rowland of the visiting Bobcats would draw first blood off a shot 8 feet from the net, but the Cardinals would rally back later in the first, starting with Andrew Smith's jump catch for the shot and goal. The two teams would swap goals through the rest of the half, including Davison's Tyler Atkins and Grand Blanc's Brandon Scott. The Bobcats escaped the first half with a 5-4 lead. The second half would be dominated by Davison on both sides of the ball, outscoring the Bobcats 5-0 in the third quarter alone. Grand Blanc would mount a late fourth quarter comeback started by Andrew Blakemore, but they'd fall a day late and $1 short as the Cardinals would win the game 12-8 over the rival Cats.
This win was just a huge win. It was a great confident boost coming off the OT loss the last time we played them away. This should propel us throughout the rest of the week. We have Powers coming up next, are crosstown rivals, so this should be a good game coming up in the week.
This was a great win for Cardinal Lacrosse and extends their streak to 4 win games. Keep it up, boys. In year 8 of Cardinal Lacrosse, it's been more than just another season as teammates, it's been months together as a family. Players view each other not as players, but as brothers, and this brotherhood has been what's made Davison Lacrosse more than a team.
What makes teammate a brotherhood? These guys are willing to share the ball. They stay after practice, talk about how they can get better, work with each other on specific things that they work out with each other, and they're talented at every position, and it really came onto the field.
Davison on three! 1, 2, 3, Davison! Often in sports, athletes form bonds with those around them to truly make a team a team. The bond that is shared in Cardinal lacrosse is more than just as players on a team.
We're a big family, you know, we joke around with each other, but at the same time we all know that we have a common goal of winning games and getting better as a team.
Year 8 of Cardinal lacrosse has rallied around the concept of being brothers, and that idea is reinforced by the return of head coach Jared Stebbins. But there's more to the team than just being a family.
We have variety. Everybody gets along. I mean, nobody doesn't like anybody on the team. Everyone comes together, and that's what makes the team great.
The bond that holds these brothers together when times are tough is Coach Jared Stebbins, the father of Team 8.
Coach Stebbins is a great coach. He jokes around with us, and he keeps the environment friendly and whatnot.
We're going to do it a cappella one time.
But at the same time, he's down to business, and he's making sure everybody's on top of what they're doing.
Coach Stebbins is a great coach. I mean, you ask him a question, he knows. He goes out of his way to help you out, and he's just overall great.
Cardinal lacrosse set out to make it a season to remember, but it's not always the fondest memories that stick out.
My most memorable thing would be the game that we lost by 9. We lost a game to Midland by 9 goals. We were down by 15. And I called a timeout in the 4th quarter because Andrew Smith was running up and down the field, killing himself for the team. And I was almost in tears because of the effort I saw when we were down by double digits. And we ended up coming back. We lost by 6 or 7 goals. So, I mean, it doesn't sound like an accomplishment, but it's a big step in what younger players want to be. They want to be Andrew Smith for me.
That's not to say there weren't plenty of laughs as well.
The guys will probably tell you, we set a couple school records last week. We most goals in school history, 2nd shutout. So I told the guys if we could do that, I'd dance for them in the locker room, and they really seem to enjoy that.
When the time comes for Team 8 to walk off the field one last time, it won't be as a random mix of people, but as brothers who left it all on the same field they met. Davison on 3! 1, 2, 3, Davison! Sean Bednard, DTV Sports.
Coach Stebbins and Team 8 will look to keep this winning streak alive as the season goes on. Moving down the road to the soccer fields where Lady Cardinal Soccer was home last night hosting divisional foe Flint Southwestern Academy. Davison would soar to the night of full offensive and defensive dominance led by Alyssa Burke and Summer Yarbrough, who each contributed 2 goals, with the Cardinals sending the Knights back home with an 8-0 loss. Also putting their names on the box score were Morgan Tallman, Claire Stoddard, Elena Hilgendorf, and Peyton Steinhaus. Not to forget to mention Davison goalkeeper Katrine Jalries, who would earn her 3rd shutout of the season as the Lady Cards improved to 6-2 on the record. Way to shut them down, ladies. With the way the weather is looking today, there's no better day for spring sports, especially right here in Cardinal Country. Starting things off from the Diamond, where Cardinal baseball welcomes Powers Catholic in rivalry action at 4 p.m. Staying on the bases, Lady Cardinal softball flies down to Lake Orion at 4:30 p.m. to take on the Lady Dragons. Good luck, girls. Cardinal lacrosse will be just down M24, facing off against the Oxford Wildcats at 4 p.m. Finally, it's a Saginaw Valley cross-conference soccer battle as Midland Dow comes down to the City of Flags for the Lady Chargers versus Lady Cardinals at 6:45 p.m. Make your way to one of these games tonight and cheer your guys and girls on to victory. In just over a month, preparation for the 2014 Cardinal football season will begin under the leadership of new head coach Kyle Zimmerman. Coach Z will be holding a player and parent meeting, including those of incoming freshmen, on the night of May 28th, starting at 6 p.m. in the athletic meeting room. That's all I have for you today on the Sports Set. Be sure to go out and support any of your Davison athletics in their efforts today. And remember to show your Cardinal pride. Now back to Lindsay and Olivia on the news desk. Guys.
A new recreation area will soon be available for the Davison community. A man-made lake will be constructed in Davison Regional Park and will include volleyball courts, a beach, and 2 pavilions. The project was a dream of Davison Township's Bob Callis, who worked tirelessly for years to obtain the land of the lake off Gale Road between Court and Davison.
I mean, it's unbelievable, and once it comes to pass, this community is going to be so proud of it that people are going to come from all over to see the Davison project.
Sadly, shortly after the groundbreaking, Mr. Callis passed away. Construction on the Callis Lake is expected to be complete by the end of spring 2015. Most people are aware that Mr. Desjarlis has been a math teacher here at DHS for over 30 years, but what you don't know about him could fill a book. Mr. Desjarlis' story teaches not to judge a book by its cover.
Sides of the ladder are perpendicular.
I like to see kids learn, and when they do the things I expect them to do, I think they can see that they are capable of doing a lot of things that they never thought they could do.
42 years ago, Wayne Desjarlis began teaching at Davison High School, and although a lot has changed, his passion for the job has not.
When you go to class every day, you have to have lesson plans, and I think my life is just about lesson plans because every day I've got something going on.
It says a T-babble.
And while Mr. Desjarlis is always teaching, it isn't just math that's on the agenda.
When you consider teaching, it's the little things that count. Those are the things that you will probably remember of me more than all of the geometry you learned. Whether you're good or bad, or the day you yelled at them, or the day you gave them a break on a test or quiz, as opposed to all the geometry you might learn.
And although at first his class may seem difficult and dry to many, once students realize Mr. Desjarlis' intentions, the atmosphere feels a whole lot lighter.
I have fun, I joke around, have a good time. We laugh some days, other days we cry. But it's hard to say, you know, it all depends on what's going on.
And whether it's writing equations or riding tractors, Mr. Desjarlis has a lot going on. But his passion for farming didn't spring up overnight.
The first recollection I ever have of farming was I was probably 5 years old, and I'm out in the middle of this field and I'm driving tractor at 5 years old because the guys were pitching the bundles on and I was keeping the tractor going straight down the road.
And the life that Mr. Desjarlis leads today isn't too far off from the one that he pictured as a child.
I had 2 teachers when I was in high school, and they were both farmers. They'd do their chores in the morning, come to school, work all day, go home, do chores at night. I guess that's kind of what I wanted to do.
So that is exactly what he did.
So I farm about 30 acres. We own about 70. We cut hay, bale it, and then I deliver it to, I have about 8 customers that I deliver to, and we make between 3,000 and 4,000 bales of hay every year.
Tapping trees for maple syrup and taking walks around his property are also some of Mr. Desjarlis' pastimes.
Let's head right up that way.
And I was allowed a special look at one of his favorite spots.
My wife won't believe this. All the way back to the beaver pond. When the kids were young, we came out here and skated. They almost always come out to the beaver pond whenever they come home. I mean, how many people have a beaver pond on their property?
Right. Not many can say that they do.
Not many can say that they do, you know.
And although he was vague on the topic of retirement, when he does decide to leave the classroom, one thing will never change.
I don't think I ever stop teaching. I teach when I drive home at night. I teach when I go to school in the morning. I teach on weekends. It's always in the back of my mind.
Olivia Desgrange, DTV News.
He was voted most likely to brighten your day. Ethan Foster is an autistic student at the high school, but proves to beat the odds.
Catch that story coming up tomorrow on DTV. If you aren't already, follow us on Twitter at DTV_official to keep up with all your Davison news and sports updates. And coming up later on DTV, we'll be airing the district show every day at noon and 7, and also the Central Elementary concert live at 7 o'clock Thursday night.
If you missed any of the gun law story or want to go back and rewatch the story about gay marriage, head on over to davisonschools.org, click on the DTV link, and then just press Watch DTV Now.
So Mr. Desjarlis has been here longer than any other teacher at the high school. That's pretty cool that you got to go to his house and see what his life is really like.
It was an amazing experience to, go behind the scenes a little bit and get the look that not many students get to see of him.
Right.
Yeah, I had him for a teacher my sophomore year, and my older brother had him, and he told him that he was kind of a tough teacher, but then when you get him to know him as a person, he's an awesome guy.
No, he really is. I had that same experience myself, and like I said, I'm very thankful that I got to do the story.
Right.
Well, Davison, that is all the news we have today on your edition of DTV News. I'm Olivia Desgrange alongside Lindsay Gerber and Chris Jarrett. Have a great day.